work and no play makes Jane a dull girl. Today, we are making these brown butter chocolate chip cookies. They are super yummy, super delicious, and oozing with delicious chunks of chocolate and bursting with brown butter flavor. So, welcome back to In the Kitchen with Baker Girl. Thank you, Jesus. It is another beautiful day to be in the kitchen. First off, we need to brown our butter. Now, I have 1 stick of unsalted butter that I'm going to brown. Now, browning butter is fairly simple. And yes, it pops. So if you are wearing a bright red jumper, please put on an apron because sometimes your butter can pop and spatter. Now, you want to melt your butter and you want to stir it with a spatula. I prefer using a stainless steel pan, but for the purpose of you guys being able to see what's going on with the butter, I will be using this white porcelain non-stick skillet thing. So just stir it. You stir it because you're keeping the milk solids from sitting on the bottom and burning, which is essentially what you were browning. You're browning the milk solids, but if you just let it sit there, it will burn. Now, this only takes about maybe roughly 5 minutes at the most. Your heat is on medium. And you just stir and stir. Once the foam starts to disappear, that's when the browning action starts to begin. So don't walk away. Watch it and stir it. Take it off the heat when it starts to brown. And then to cool it down rapidly, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of cold butter. That helps to stop the butter from continuing to brown. Because if it keeps on browning, it will burn. And there is a difference between bois, noisette, and brown butter. We don't want burnt butter. Now, I am adding to the butter. The butter has cooled. It's not screaming hot. So I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of, well, actually, that's about a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. I'm adding in some light brown sugar and also some regular granulated sugar or caster sugar. Using a whisk, I'm just going to mix this up. And you want to mix it until it starts, the butter and the sugars, it starts to look a little homogenized. It may, if your butter is still too warm, it'll look slightly split and it'll never really come together. But if you let that butter cool just a few extra minutes, it will whisk and you'll get something that looks like whipped caramel or peanut butter texture. Then once that, you whisk that in properly. And you do actually need to give this a good whisking. If you don't, your cookies will be a little bit greasy. Now, I'm adding in about 2 tablespoons of sourdough starter. I'm adding it in because I have sourdough. I am a sourdough baker. And it's good for your gut and they will never know. So, shh, don't tell them. Now, just whisk that in. And instantly, your butter texture will change because you added it in there. Nobody knows. You've added in a secret healthy ingredient and your family has no idea. Now, I'm adding in 1 egg. You can add just the yolk and leave out the white, especially for a small batch of cookies like this. But your cookie batter could be a little bit too dry. If you're making a super teeny tiny mixture, I would leave out the white. But this is a decent amount, not a super teeny tiny amount. Now I'm adding in some flour. I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of dark rye flour. You can substitute with spelt. Once again, this is a secret healthy ingredient and they have no idea it's in the cookies. And it adds a nice flavor to the cookies because rye flour imparts just a little bit of a sour tang along with the sourdough starter. Give your cookies just a little bit of flavor and somebody go, what is that? You don't have to tell, and they will never know. Now, mix this in gently until you have a cookie dough consistency. Now, I'm adding in some chocolate chips. You can use semi-sweet milk chocolate. I'm using milk chocolate. I'm adding in a chopped dark chocolate bar. I love that bit of dark chocolate flavor. But you can add chopped nuts, you can add chopped pistachios, walnuts, pecans, peanuts, coconut, whatever you want. At this point, this is where you add in your mixins. Now, mix this up so you have this beautiful cookie dough. And by the way, I did add salt and some baking soda. Now, my oven is preheated to 350 degrees. You're going to scoop out your cookie dough. This is a 2 tablespoon cookie scoop. And this is how I make my cookies. I have baked thousands upon thousands upon thousands of cookies in my baking career. I kept track. One year I baked 10,000 cookies in a 3-month period. So yeah, I've done quite a bit of cookie baking in my time. But you space them out. I do 6 per tray. I don't like to do more than 6 per tray because they will spread. Now, into the oven she goes. The cookies need to bake for about 10 to 12 minutes. Do not overbake your cookies because they will finish off baking with carryover cooking. So take them out when they're still raw looking in the center. Let them sit on the cookie sheet for about 5 to 10 minutes until they have finished baking and they've cooled down slightly. They'll still be warm, but they finish baking out of the oven. Trust me, I've baked enough cookies. I know if your cookies are well baked when they come out of the oven, they will be overbaked once they cool. So they finish baking out of the oven, but these are delicious and they were super yummy. I should have served them with a glass of milk. I didn't, but you do need to give them a little bit of time to let them cool. So just let them be. Have some patience. Normally when I'm baking trays and trays and trays of cookies, I forget about them. And so therefore I'm not standing there looking at them going, cool down already. But today I wasn't baking trays and trays and trays. This is just a tiny batch of cookies. So I'm standing there going, cookies, please, cool. But they are delicious. I hope you guys will give the recipe a try. If you are interested in any cookie tips or if you need help baking your cookies, leave comments and let me know, and I will be more than happy to answer any of your burning cookie baking questions. And I don't mean burning of cookies, I mean burning questions, by the way. Now, there's just that one cookie that you've been eyeballing. You know how it is. There's always that one that you saw that you want to try. Now, this is before I serve them to the rest of the family, but I've got to taste them. Now, even though I have baked thousands and thousands and thousands of cookies, I never get over the joy of biting into a freshly baked cookie. Because that's how I like my cookies. I like them no more than 30 minutes out the oven. Beyond that, I kind of go, But that's because I'm the cookie baker and I'm spoiled with these delicious fresh out the oven cookies. But I hope you will give them a try. They will be a delicious treat for your family. If you give the recipe a try, please leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. The recipe, as usual, is in the description box below this video. Recipe is in the description. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And good Lord willing, I will see you guys again in another video. Take care, y'all. Bye.